Have you noticed? Everywhere you look, everywhere you turn, everybody's talking about AI, how the proper use of it is the only way forward, that if you're not fully integrated with AI, you're going to be lapped. And you know what? There's some truth to that what used to take a team of people can now be done by just one person. The efficiencies are absolutely incredible. And while there's great power with AI, I would also say that for relational professionals like you and I, there's also great peril. And I'm going to share that today, what you need to be not only embracing, but more importantly, what you need to be leery of. Because there's a chance that in this shiniest of all shiny objects, you could actually lose the one thing that is your unique competitive advantage. Let's begin by talking about the definition of a relationship. If we're truly relational professionals, which you and I are, then what is a relationship? You see, a relationship is when two people actually care for one another, they add value to one another, they have empathy for one another, they listen, and they serve and offer help to one another. Okay, so if that's what a relationship looks like, true, authentic connection. Okay, now I want you to contrast that versus artificial intelligence. Could there be two things that are more polar opposite? Authenticity, which is a relationship, and artificial, which is the antithesis of a relationship. So here we are. We have this entire society that's embracing artificial intelligence. Artificial. And yet, as relational professionals, what do we do, right? And I would argue that there's another form of AI that we all need to be embracing, and that's authentic interactions. You see, if you completely give up what is uniquely yours, if you say, you know what, I'm going to go all in on AI. The things that I post on social media, they can do it so much faster and I'll copy and paste it. And rather than reaching out and having true conversations with people, I'm going to automate all of that. And I'm going to let the bots take care of it for me. I'm here to tell you that while that might work in the short term, the one competitive advantage that was actually very defensible, that kept you above all algorithms, which is that you are human. You have a story. You have experiences. You have feelings. You care for other humans, which AI doesn't, folks. It's a series of numbers. It's algorithms. It does not care. It can mimic caring, but you and I both know that it actually doesn't care. And so the caution for you is to understand that what is uniquely yours ought to remain uniquely yours. And if you can identify ways to embrace artificial intelligence without giving up authentic interactions, now we have real power. I want to share with you an experience. Like you, I'm always looking for ways to be more efficient, but more importantly, I've learned to not be looking for efficiencies, but look for ways to be more effective. And I had hired a group to help me with my podcast. And I didn't realize entirely that it was AI produced until I went back several weeks later and started to read the posts that I was supposedly posting. They were terrible. It looked like word salad. There were emojis everywhere, probably emojis that I wouldn't even use, and it did not sound like me. And lo and behold, surprise, surprise, there was no interaction, no engagement. And I realized really quickly is that anybody who does know me could read that and identify in a minute that that was not me. It wasn't me, right? It wasn't even valuable. Now, I'm not here to say that AI is not going to improve or that you can't improve that to where it actually sounds like you, because you can. However, I want you to know that we as humans have a very sensitive authenticity filter, that if we recognize that it is not actually somebody else talking, that it is not actually created by them, we quickly dismiss it. And not only does it not create the benefit that we aspired it to create by having that additional contact, it actually creates a negative. There's actually a negative experience because we feel like somebody duped us. We feel like somebody was trying to show that they cared and that they were putting out their thoughts, and they didn't even care so much as to do that. Like, it'd be better in many cases to be silent. Now, again, I'm not trying to scare you about not using AI. What I am trying to encourage you is to think cautiously and tread lightly when it comes to using AI to mimic you. So what is the proper answer? What is the proper approach? Well, I'll tell you this. The proper approach is to utilize AI in a different way, in a way that's not replacing you, it's enhancing you. You see, you should see AI as a tool, not as a replacement. There's two types of work that I want you to think of. I want you to think of back office stuff and front office stuff, right? In fact, I had a mastermind within ProInsight. our signature network mastermind, where we have top professionals from a number of different industries, and we discuss the best ways to become more relational and to have better relationships and more referrals amongst professionals and from our sphere. And in that conversation, somebody made that distinction of like, there's back office stuff and there's front office stuff. And we had one particular participant that was saying, I don't know about actually utilizing AI. And somebody recommended in one of the breakout rooms, they said, I want you to think of it this way. What is all the back office stuff that AI could be doing that would then free you up to have more front office stuff? In other words, to have more authentic conversations. Because you and I both know that if we have no time in our day where we have authentic interactions, we're in trouble, right? We really don't have a relational business. But if we had an entire day filled with those, then the reality is we would have a very deep and abiding relational business. But the challenge is, in most cases, we have a lot of back office stuff that keeps us from doing that front, face-to-face, belly-to-belly type stuff. So here's my invitation to you, is utilize AI for the back office stuff. Utilize AI to get you more of those face-to-face, even virtual to virtual face-to-face conversations. Because the more of those you can have, the reality is the better your business is going to be. In other words, don't use AI to replace yourself up here. Use AI to enhance yourself by freeing you up to do more of this. Now let's supercharge this. As I mentioned before, the unique thing about you as a human is that you have a human story. You are very unique in the sense that AI does not have a human story. It can mimic it, but in reality, it doesn't have one of its own. And that concept of a story is the thing I want you to latch onto here. You see, AI done wrong is when it's just a bunch of facts. It's a bunch of word salad. But when someone tells their unique human story, something changes. We feel something. We feel emotional connection. We all know that people make buying decisions that are emotional and then they justify it with logic. What AI does in many cases is it creates a whole bunch of facts, right? Now it can fabricate stories, but it's different when someone's telling a fabricated story versus a story that's uniquely theirs, and you feel for a moment what they felt, and there's this emotional tie and this connection. So the way to supercharge your humanity is to get really good at telling stories. The more stories you tell, the more authentic stories in which you don't just tell the facts of the story, but you tell the emotions of the story. The more that you do that, the more ability you'll have to connect with people and really supercharge your ability to stand out in a very artificial world. Now, here's the cheat code about stories. Sometimes we're thinking to ourselves, I don't really know what story I should tell. Use AI to define the structure. That will jog your memory of actual stories you've had. In other words, let AI be the structure, you be the soul, right? You be the actual person in the story telling the experience. Again, those two coupled together are super powerful. All right, let's break it down. Here's what I want you to know. If you're not using AI in your business, you need to. But don't use it to replace yourself, use it to enhance yourself. And I'm going to give you 4 simple points that will help to guide you as you move forward in marrying this concept of artificial intelligence, back office, authentic interactions, front office. Point number 1, use AI to enhance authentic conversations, not to replace them. Number 2, automate the back office, not the front office. Number 3, keep your voice, keep your stories, and by all means, keep your humanity. And number 4, when you do use AI-generated content, go back and revise it, review it, make sure it sounds like you. Read it into a microphone and listen to it back. Say, is that something that I would say? If it's too flowery with too many emojis, cut it out. Be you. Let AI, again, give you the structure, and then you become the soul. When you do that, you'll be not just more efficient, more importantly, you'll be more effective. Now, one last thing. If this resonated with you, for example, if you are a relational professional and you want to win with technology, with still leading with authenticity, then hit the subscribe button. We have a lot more content like this coming at you. We want to help you thrive as a relational professional in a very technologically advancing world. This is the place for you. I can't wait to see you in the next video.